Live webinars can be one of the most difficult and challenging presentations to pull off when selling your online course, but they can also be one of the most rewarding skills that you could ever learn, and webinars can literally make you millions and millions of dollars. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a simple method to script your next live webinar. What's up guys, we're here for our second Friday video, and if you're new here and we don't know each other, my name's Kerry, I'm an online business owner, and on this channel I'm sharing my best strategies, secrets, and hacks to help you grow your online business. In today's video, we're going to talk about live webinars. As I said in the intro, live webinars can be extremely challenging and they can be difficult, and it's really a skill that you continue to learn all the time and get better at. But I want to give you a formula today, and this is really kind of my method adapted from some other methods and a lot of teaching that I've done to make it easy, to break it down into just a few steps so that you know what to say at each part of the webinar. So the first thing I want you to think about before you go into scripting your live webinar is, what is your unique framework? What is your unique framework? So with an online course, you should definitely have a unique framework. What do I mean by that? You need to think about your online course and what the result that your students will get out of your online course is, and what is the high level steps that people need to go through, your students need to go through to get that result. This is kind of the way that I like to think about it. And if you read Expert Secrets from Russell Brunson, you'll know that he talks about the 3 secrets. And the way that I have done it and I've had a lot of success with is those 3 secrets are basically my framework. So I want you to think about what are the high level 30,000 foot view steps of your program, and I want those to become part of your webinar, okay? And this is how you're going to sell your online course, because as you take people through your webinar, you're actually just going to be taking them through the framework of what is taught inside of your online course. So with that being said, let's dive into each step. And I've got 6 steps of the webinar for you to kind of go through as you're figuring out what to say on your webinar and you're scripting it on your webinar. The first one is the introduction. And really what that consists of is the hello, the testimonials, and you want to gain commitment. I'll go into all these. And then you want to preview the content. So this is kind of the first leg of the webinar, how you kick it off. And there's some key elements here. The first thing in your introduction is just your hello. It's a very quick, I would say 10 to 20 seconds introduction of who you are. You're not going into any kind of story. You're just saying, hey, my name's Kerry. I'm the founder of blah, blah, blah. And our webinar today is titled blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing I like to do is dive into testimonials if you have them. Okay. Right into testimonials. Your testimonials are one of the most powerful things that's going to sell your online course throughout the webinar. So you want to jump into a few testimonials very quickly at the beginning. Everything within this introduction should be quick. Okay, you want to keep people's attention, keep moving. Don't get stuck too long on any one thing. You're going to want 3 to 4 testimonials if you have them. If you don't have them, you can use like examples of maybe celebrities or people that they may be familiar with that have gotten results with similar methods, that kind of thing. But 3 to 4 testimonials. And one thing Jason Fladlien teaches here that's really cool is that these should be different kinds of testimonials. You might have a testimonial where somebody got really quick results with your program, one where somebody got really big results, and you can kind of make these different. You might have an emotional story where somebody reached out to you and they just talked about how it changed their life. So different kinds of testimonials, as it can be as little as 1, it can be as much as 3 or 4 there. The next thing you want to do is gain commitment in the intro. You want to gain some commitment that they're going to stay until the end with you, right? So that's why you see on a lot of webinars say, hey, put away your notebook, put away your phone, put away your blah, 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 grab a notebook and pen, lock in, stay with me for the next X amount of minutes. You want to get that commitment. You want to ask a question. Will you do it? Will you stick with me, right? Ask a question, gain commitment. And the last thing is giving a quick preview of the content. And this is really kind of the bait to keep them there, is saying, hey, by the end of this webinar, here's what you're going to know. Number one, you're going to know this. Number two, you're going to know this. Number three, you're going to know this. So you got to stay with me until the end because this is everything you're going to learn. Okay. Number two, we're going to move into short origin story. The way that I want you to think about your origin story, well, number one, you need to keep it short. You know, I would say 5 to 15 minutes. 15 minutes might be a little on the long side, but your origin story is how you got started, how you kind of got into whatever you're teaching, how you became an expert, is building that authority. And it's also how I like to think about the origin story is how did you come up with this program or this framework that you are teaching on the webinar. So every step of the webinar should really flow into the next step and lead people down this path to where you want them to go, which is buying your thing, investing in your program. Okay, so short origin story, 5 to 15 minutes. A quick tip, which I learned from my coach, Rick Mulready, on his webinar, which I have used that I like a lot, is a timeline for your origin story. What this is basically having a slide that kind of has like times on it, like 2020, 2018. It might say January 2015. Okay, and you take them down this timeline of your origin story. The reason I like this is because it's one slide. You can get through it relatively quickly and you can hit all of the important points. So putting the really, really impactful points along this timeline and then just on one slide and just moving through it real fast. But at the end here, when you end up at the end, in my opinion, with your origin story, the end of this should be where you are today and how you created this program and why you are on this webinar and teaching it. Okay, so you want to lead up to that. So that is the origin story. Okay, number 3 is your content. And again, the best way that I have found, so this is what actually you're going to be teaching them on the webinar. This is where you're giving the bulk of your you're giving the bulk of your value and your training is here. And the best way that I've found is to break down your framework, okay? To teach your framework. Now, there is definitely such a thing as teaching too much on a webinar. This is a hard line to walk, but the way that I think about it is, are you giving so much information on your webinar that they won't need your product? That's really what you want to think about. You want to give value on your webinar. You really do. You don't want to have a webinar where you're just selling the entire time, but you also need to consider, are you going too deep? If you're going too deep on any one thing where you might lose some people, you got to back up a little bit. You got to zoom out and make it simpler. If you can't fit it on, 5 or 10 slides, it's probably too much. If you've got a ton of text on any one of your slides, it's probably too much, okay? But I think you should do a high-level overview of each step of your framework, with the exception of if your framework is like 10 steps. I would say 4 is probably the max, going through the 4, top steps, most important steps of your framework, okay? The last part I want to talk about the content portion is at the end of each secret or end of each pillar or part, you want to do 2 things. Add a testimonial if you have it. And when I say add a testimonial here, the testimonial should be related to that step that you are teaching in the framework, okay? So if you're teaching, whatever you're teaching somebody, you want that testimonial to be about that thing that you just taught them. Like, hey, so-and-so used this thing that we just taught you to have these results, okay? And the last thing, again, is gaining that commitment and asking a question there. So you want to continue to gain that commitment. And in your content section, after each part, you show that testimonial and you say, hey, can you commit to doing this? Can you commit to implementing what we just taught you? Let me know yes in the chat, right? You're just getting that commitment at the end of each section. Hey, if you're liking this video and getting value, smash that like button and also leave me a comment. What's your best tip for running a webinar, whether it be automated or live? What's your best tip to get results? There are so many different tactics, so many different strategies. I want to hear your best tip down in the comments. Let's get back to the video. Number 4 is the transition. And the transition is an interesting one because the transition can be really tough for people, and it can be something that people don't put a lot of thought into, and it becomes really awkward because what you're doing is you're trying to transition from teaching to selling, okay? And that's a difficult transition to make, but there's definitely some easy ways that you can do it. The easiest way that I like to do is, number one, you can give a 60-second recap of the entire content, okay? So you've just come out of the content, and what you want to do is a quick 60-second recap. So to recap everything we've learned today, step number one, you have to blah, 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 blah. Step number two, you got to blah, 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 blah to get this result. Step number three, you got to blah, blah, blah to get this result. So you're going through just that quick, very, very high level recap of the steps and of the results that they can achieve by going through those steps, okay? And then you want to ask some yes questions. This is something that Jason Fladlien teaches, which I really, really love. And I'm gonna call them "Wouldn't you agree?" just because that's the best way to kind of explain this. But I like to say, "Wouldn't you agree that blah 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 blah?" And they're questions that are related to the content that you've taught, related to the result that you want to these people to get. But they're literally just getting yes, 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 yes. And as you get those yeses, you are making people more apt to say yes to your product because you're getting them in that momentum throughout the entire webinar of saying yes. But wouldn't you agree that one intelligent person can teach another intelligent person how to do something? Yes. Wouldn't you agree that this is the absolute best way to make money online based off the information you've seen today? Yes. Wouldn't you agree that this is very simple using our method? Yes. Wouldn't you agree that all of these students have had success? Why you can have success too? Yes. Okay, so you're going through these simple questions that are like, wouldn't you agree? You're getting those yes questions, okay? So then the last part is special offer, the last part of the transition, and a question. So this part is basically saying, hey, we have put together something super awesome, very special and exclusive that I want to show you today. And then you ask it the question, do you mind if I show it to you? Or do you want to see it? So you say, do you mind if I show it to you? Now, at this point, they have sat with you for 45 minutes, an hour plus, okay? You've just got them to say yes like 3, 4, 5 times, okay? You've just given them a ton of value. They're going to be very softened up if you do this with confidence to your offer. But I love to ask this question because it takes the pressure off of you, the pressure of selling. Number 5, we got 6 steps total. Number 5 is the offer. And what you want to do with the offer is really just go through each part of your offer and stack the value as you go. So your first part of your offer is going to be your core offer, which is like your course, anything that is included with your course that kind of comes in the main portion, and then you stack those bonuses, okay? So what I like to do is I like to, after each bonus, come back to the core offer, then go back to another bonus and come back to the core offer, okay, or come back to the whole stack the value. This is something that Russell teaches that actually Jason Fladlien doesn't teach it in the same way. I have generally stuck with Russell's strategy of basically showing a slide of all this stuff, right? You get this. Then the next thing you're going to get is this. And then you come back and review each thing, okay? Then you're going to get this. So that brings us back to this, then this, then this, for total value of this, right? And then you come back, and you're also going to get this. Then you come back and review again. So that brings us to, you're going to get this, 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 and our total value is this. And you keep reviewing that value. You keep stacking that value, making it bigger and bigger. And then you simply drop the price. So, as you're stacking this value, you're making this offer, your core offer and bonus and bonus and bonus, you're making that number bigger and bigger and bigger, that value, you're building it. And then you just drop the price down. But when you sign up today, you're going to get everything included for only $997 or $497, whatever the price is, okay? You drop that price. If you have a payment plan, lead with the payment plan. This is a tip that I've used. Lead with the payment plan. You can get started today for as low as $97 plus 4 additional payments, okay? lead with the payment plan. So as you're going through the kind of the end of this offer, the next thing you want to go into is the guarantee. This is risk reversal. Okay, it's imperative that you have a guarantee. You cannot do your webinar without a guarantee unless that is actually a strategy, is saying, hey, we don't do returns. That's a strategy that Jason Fladlien teaches, but you have to have some kind of guarantee. There are numerous ways to do this. But you want to at least have a 30-day, 21-day, 14-day return policy there, and you want to reverse that risk. The next thing I like to do is go to the 2 choices slide. It's another thing that Russell teaches that I really, really like. And it's basically the 2 choices. Hey, you can go about your life and be in the same place that you are right now in the next 6 months or a year, or you can make an investment into our program and you can get this result. You can get it quicker. You can get it faster. You can join our team. So the 2 choices, those are the only 2 choices you have. Go and do it on your own. Try to figure it out on your own, or skip the struggle. Save yourself time, save yourself money, and join our team and grab our online course. And finally, number 6, the 6th step of the webinar script is just Q&A. Q&A can be scripted or live. So, when you're doing a live webinar, you can definitely have trolls. There can definitely be trolls in the chat. And if you choose to do live Q&A and take questions, it can be risky, right? Because you can get somebody in the chat just crushing you and really killing your confidence. If you decide to go live, you can go as long as people still have questions. You can continue to answer those questions and just go and go and go to keep selling, keep overcoming those objections. But this Q&A section, that's what it's really there for, is to overcome objections. So it's a very important time. So here's a quick recap of my webinar method. Number 1 is the introduction, your hello, your testimonials, gain commitment, and preview the content. Number 2 is a short origin story about how you got started and how you developed your online course in your unique framework. And I love the timeline slate here. Number 3 is the content, which is actually going through each part of your framework. And at the end of that, gaining the commitment and showing more testimonials. Number 4 is the transition, where you give a quick 60-second recap, the big picture, you get some yes questions, you get some momentum, and then you say, do you mind if I show you this special offer? Number 5 is the actual offer. It's where you break down each thing that is included with your offer. You stack the value up, increase that price, then you drop that price, give a call to action, make sure they know where to go to buy your thing. Then you have your guarantee, you have your objections, the 2 choices slide, any urgency and scarcity that you have there. Finally, number 6 is your Q&A. This is just after the webinar is over. You keep that slide up of all the things that they're going to get, and you take questions, or you have scripted questions. If you weren't already aware, we have a brand new group called Launch with Impact. It's for impact-driven course sellers and course creators to learn how to launch your product, to make your first 5 figures or 6 figures in a launch, and also to have the most amount of impact. It's a completely free group, and you can join by just going over to group.kerryegeler.com. We'll put that link down in the description. I'd love to have you join. I'm frequently going live in this group and doing free trainings, giving free tips like what you saw in this video about selling your online course and launching your online course. So go over there and join group.kerryegeler.com, and we will see you next week.